you will. If you think you can recover, you will. If you think you can overcome depression, you will. If you think you can overcome poverty, you will. Okay, so half the battle is the mentality. And where do we get the mentality? I get it right here.
All right.
This is what tells me that I can. It tells me that actually he's already given me the victory. I need to learn how to walk it out. Okay, it's already been done, already promised, already given, already paid for. If I'm not there, I got to walk it out. But it's not because I can't and it's not mine. It's because of my mentality, and I got to learn to walk it out. Okay, so no matter what you want, you can get there. And I believe that. This isn't really like a self-motivation speech. It's about victory in Jesus, is what I'm talking about. I'm talking about victory in Jesus. By myself, I already know I can't do crack. I already know that. Do you mean I couldn't overcome addiction by myself? Couldn't do it. Tried for years. Didn't want this to be the answer. Wanted everything else to be the answer till I surrendered. So don't give up. So I have some new quotes. Okay, I have some uplifting quotes. I kind of messed them up last time a little bit. So this one is, let's see where we are. Survival can be summed up in 3 words. Take notes. You writing it down?
Yeah.
You ready? Never give up. Survival can be summed up in 3 words. Never give up. That's the sum of it, really. Just keep trying. That's from Bear Grylls. Do you guys know who he is? Am I saying his last name right?
Yeah.
Man vs. Wild. There you go. What is it? Bear Grylls, yeah. Okay. His actual first name is Edward, but he goes by Bear. Winners. Let's do the next one. Winners are not people who never fail. They are people who never quit. Winners are not people who never fail. They are people who never quit. Okay? That's from fearlessmotivation.com. So I just was looking up some stuff. And then since I kind of messed up the last time, I decided to use that quote from him. Thomas Edison, the light bulb guy. I studied, okay? I studied. I didn't give up, right? I get a do-over. Many of life's failures are people who did not realize how close they were to success when they gave up. Many of life's failures are people who did not realize how close they were to success before they gave up. So don't give up. Okay, it's right around the corner. Listen, God loves to be a suddenly kind of God. You know, you're going along this way for so long, and then suddenly, then there's a suddenly. That's sort of like how God does. Then suddenly, it doesn't always feel like suddenly to you if you've been in it for a while. It can feel like it's been this way for a long time. Okay, brothers and sisters, let's do our scripture. I do not regard myself as having taken hold of it yet. But one thing I do, forgetting what lies behind, reaching forward to what lies ahead. Yes. If you're going to hold on to your past mistakes and past failures, you're going to miss out on what's ahead. You got to let it go. It doesn't even matter. Yesterday's gone. The only thing we can do is learn from it and move along. You got to let it go. Let it go. So I'm forgetting what lies behind. I'm going to reach forward to what lies ahead. God has something great ahead for you. Yes. He died on the cross. He has a good plan, a good purpose. He has something great for your life. Just got to reach ahead. You just got to keep going forward, okay? Don't look back. There's nothing back there. Well, we know what's back there. It's all that, okay? Keep looking forward. Whatever he has for you, it's ahead. It's not backward. So we're going to keep going forward. We're going to press ahead. So I press on. Can you read it? I press on towards the goal for the prize of the upward call of God in Christ Jesus. I press on towards the goal. I press on towards the goal. We talked about this. That means you're going to have to press. Means it's going to be a little hard, okay? It's not just going to fall on you. You're going to have to keep pressing in. Has anybody ever had to press in for something that you wanted? Okay? Listen, especially like if you're in recovery or you've lived a life of addiction, I will get what I wanted. I don't know about y'all or how y'all used. Don't tell me I can't. I'll go get it. Don't tell me you're out. I'll go find it, okay? I will go to Cleveland barefooted to get what I needed. Don't play with me, okay? But now suddenly in recovery, some of us act like, I couldn't get to the meeting. Okay, maybe y'all didn't use like I did, but listen, you're going to have to knock me down, put your foot on my neck, to stop me. I'm going to do this life just like I did that life.
Come on.
Okay, I'm going to do this life just like I did that life. Okay, if God says I'm supposed to live in the promised land, I'm going to keep going until I get to the promised land. Okay, I'm not going to deal with poverty. I don't want to deal with depression. I don't want to be dealing with sickness. I want to live in the promised land. Because God said he died on the cross for me to have it. So I want it. And I'm going to go get it. Okay, I'm not going to quit until I get it. For me and my house. For me and my house means me and my children, my children's children. He says the blessings of God are on me, my house, my children, my children's children. So I'm pressing on until I get to the promised land. Because that's what he says. I'm just going by what he says. He says this is what I can have in this world. That we could be enjoying our life. You know, I'm not enjoying my life if I got to get high every day. I'm not enjoying my life if I'm sick every day. I'm not enjoying my life if I'm broke and busted every day. Okay, that's not the life he wants us to have. So I'm saying, don't give up. Even if you're struggling, God has a way. He's going to make a way. Just don't give up. You're going to hang in there with me, okay? We're going to press on. Like I said last week, don't give up 5 minutes before the miracle happens. Listen, and sometimes it's going to get so hard, you're going to think, I can't. But listen, that's when God comes in. This is when you're going to need God. Because I couldn't get clean. I couldn't do it. God had to come in and scoop me up and help me, okay, and carry me through. That's what you have God for, because he's the one who's going to make a way. Okay, I'm going to go quickly. Now, faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen. Faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen. We talked about it a little bit last time. Listen, I think we forget what faith does. I think we forget what faith does, okay? Faith moves mountains.
All right.
Faith is what can move a mountain. It's not like, oh, by faith. No, faith says, if I believe, it will happen. All I got to do is believe. I think Chris Pasarchek, his verse, Friday night, was anybody here for ARC? Was your verse, if I have the faith of the seed of a mustard tree, right, this much faith, listen, can make all kinds of crazy, wonderful things happen.
Wow.
This much faith. Listen, Pastor Pat had faith and a vision of this place. You're sitting here now, and God made a plan years ago for you to be sitting in this place right now.
Right.
Listen, this place didn't even used to look like this, but he had a plan. And he knew you were going to be here right now. So God gave somebody a vision. He gave somebody a vision for a church, a recovery church, where we could come and feel safe, because many of us have been burned by the church, didn't want anything to do with it. Do you know what I mean? So he had a vision of a place where people could come and feel safe and recover and get to know Jesus and find a better life. And then he had a vision of this building, okay? By faith, they got this building. By faith, he opened a recovery house. By faith, we opened another recovery house. By faith, we built a recovery house, okay? That's what faith does. We thought that new women's house, they wasn't there. Listen, that was an old, dilapidated garage that the CBCFers used to use to put their cigarettes in and have sex. We saw a vacant lot where we could build a house. That's faith, okay? So having faith of where you're going, what God is doing in your life, just have a little bit of faith, a little bit of faith, a little bit of faith, and you just keep letting it grow, keep getting in the Word. Do you know what I mean? I was saying the other day, it's almost like you could see a little plant. You blow the dirt away. There's a little bit of green coming up. Do you know what I mean? Okay, now we got something. Now we're going somewhere. Do you know what I mean? You just need a little bit of faith, a little bit of belief in what God said about you, a little bit of belief that you can have the promised land, a little bit of belief that God's taking you somewhere, and you'll get there by faith, by faith, by faith. Matter of the heart. I'm going quickly. Matter of the heart. So, listen, where I've gotten today is from not giving up. From not giving up. I didn't give up on trying to get clean Okay, I wasn't going to give up. I was going to keep trying if it killed me. If it's the last thing I did, I was going to keep trying, okay? I wasn't going to, and then when I came to Oriana House, I worked there. I had to go through all, whatever that was about. Do you mean it was a heart matter? It was learning for me when God said no, being okay. When God said you're not going to get your way, and being okay with that. Being okay with following the rules for somebody else. Being okay with, whatever it is I was working on. Just learning to be okay. Learning to trust God. Learning that my way might not have been the right way every single time. That maybe there was another way. That maybe I should listen to God. That maybe I should get out of the way and let God have control of my life. Do you know what I mean? I had to learn to be still. And to know God, okay, and to listen for Him. I had to learn to be okay with not getting my way. We talked about pearls. Pearls are created by pressure and irritation. So I wore my pearls today. They're fake. Because real pearls are very rare. They're very valuable. Because a pearl can take 5 to 7 years to develop. Okay, that's a long time of being irritated. It's a long time of being irritated, of grinding and grinding and grinding. But listen, so one of the things that I did was I learned how to worship my way through. While my heart was getting better and I was learning to love people, I was learning to love tough people, I was learning to love ugly people, I was learning to love myself, I learned how to worship my way through. Worship my way through the hard times. And let me tell you how I first started with that. I learned when I was detoxing off methadone because it was hard. And I would worship in my car. And when I was coming down, I would go dose. I would get in my car. I already had it felt good because I was detoxing. I would get in my car and that song, How Great Is Our God, would play. Listen, and I would sing. I don't care how I feel. I don't care what's going on. Someday all the world will see how great is our God. Yes. And that's what I would sing. Someday all the world will see how great is our God. What I'm going through right now don't matter. How I feel right now don't matter. But God, someday all will see how great is our God. Look at me today, 15 years, no methadone. 15 years. How great is our God. How great is our God. You know what I mean? I would worship my way through. I would sing in my kitchen. I would sing in the bathroom. You know what I mean? I would worship all the way through. It didn't matter how I felt. I was just going to worship my way through. And what that taught me is through all that I've been through in recovery, I just worship my way through. I'm just going to worship my way through. You know what I mean? Whether it's like Desiree's having challenges in her life, we're just going to worship our way right on through. It was my son's birthday this past week. I worship my way right on through. Do you mean I'm just going to worship right on through? Worship right on through. My other son, listen, I told you, he's struggling. Right now, Angel told me I raised thugs.
Yes, that's okay. Besides Desiree.
Besides Desiree. I told you when I got Desiree, I was like, I don't know how this happened. Who this child is. But my other son, he's struggling. So you know what? I run and I worship and I imagine him like in the boxing ring. Do you know what I mean? And I'm helping him get up. And listen, we're going to fight this and we're going to knock it out. And you're going to do this and you're going to get up and you're going to be all right. And I'm not giving up. Amen. Okay, until I see results in his life. Till either God takes him out or he gets clean and sober, one or the other. And I'm not stopping until it happens. That's lion mentality. We're king of the jungle. I love where he said, lions think lunch, the elephant thinks run. When I get up, the enemy ought to think run. Run. You better run away from me. You better get out of my life, get out of my house, get out of my church, stop bothering my people. Okay, we're going to have people recover. We're going to get better. We're going to help our city. That's what we're going to do. That's the mentality. And we're going to worship our way right on through. Wait. Who likes wait? No, you don't even like wait at the stoplight, right? You're like, come on! Don't even like to sit for 72 seconds. You know what I mean? We're like, come on. Wait. He's in the waiting. That's where he is. He's in the waiting. He's in the waiting. Do you know what I mean? That's where you're kind of going to get to know him more. You're going to get to know him better. You're going to be seeking him. You're going to keep praying. Like I said, even with my son, you know what I mean? He's in the waiting. So every day, you know, I'm with God, and I'm seeking God, and I'm trusting God. He's in the waiting. Whether you're trying to get a promotion or find your job, listen, he's in the waiting. You just keep waiting on him. We like to get ahead of ourselves. Don't get ahead of yourself. Listen, you don't want to open the oyster before the pearl is done, because it's no good then. You've ruined it. Do you know what I mean? He's actually in the waiting. So I have a scripture. Those who wait on the Lord, listen, those who wait on the Lord will gain new strength. When I first came to recovery, one of the things that I said is, I'm going to wait on God. I'm going to get the job that God tells me to get. I'm going to move to the place that God tells me to move. I'm going to date the person that God tells me to date. He's in the waiting. Because I want the right one. I know what the bad ones are. Do you mean, I don't want all that anymore. I don't want the wrong job. Do you mean, I don't want the wrong guy. I don't want any of that anymore. He's in the waiting. I want what God wants for me. So those who wait upon the Lord, you'll gain new strength. Listen, we run through buildings around here. We knock down walls. You mean, we fight giants. We defeat demons here, but that's because we wait on the Lord, and he strengthens us. He is my strength. He is my strength. I'm 60 years old, but I probably do the work of a 40-year-old. Do you know what I mean? God is my strength. He keeps me young and vigorous and refreshed and energized. He's the reason I don't get burnt out. People are getting burnt out all the time in their jobs, leaving their jobs. You know what I mean? I don't get burnt out. I get refreshed because I wait on God. I listen for God. They will mount up on wings like eagles. You know, you're supposed to soar.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to be flapping around. You're not supposed to be flapping around. You're supposed to be soaring with God. Okay? I'm not saying, I just said I'll work hard. I don't mind working hard. I'll work hard, but I'm supposed to be soaring as well. Do you mean I could soar above the storm? I'm going to soar high, where God sends me to go, because that's where my strength is. That's where my joy is. I'm going to soar high with God. He says, though you'll run and not get tired. You will run and not get tired. I don't even know how that's possible, but that's what the word says. You'll run and not get tired. You know what I mean? You can chase after your dream, and you're going to keep on going. He will give you strength, stamina, and endurance. That's one of those waiting things. It's going to give you strength and endurance. You know what I mean? I get knocked down. Listen, I remember when I had to take a pay cut here. I had to take a pay cut. Pat took a pay cut. Desiree took a pay cut. Do you remember? Because we didn't have enough money. We waited on God. We sought God. I wasn't giving up. Do you mean I was going to keep going? We're going to keep praying. And one day and what I was worried about was I was worried about paying my people. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm okay. I'm going to be okay. I was worried about paying my people. And I was driving down Arlington. I tell this story. Dawn worked here at the time, and she had just bought a new car. And I was like, oh, dear Lord. You know, now she's got a car payment and everything. And I'm thinking, you got to come through. And I was driving down Arlington. And there's that church right there, not Arlington Church of God, on the other side. And there's a big concrete wall, and it says, trust God. Like, listen, that was a word for me right at the right time. You're going to have to trust God. God's going to have to handle this one. It's bigger than me. Do you mean? And I waited on God, and he came through. Do you mean? And here we are, alive and well, and building houses, and doing stuff all in the community. But we want to wait on God. You want to wait on God so you can run and not be weary. One of the other things that I wanted to say is that if you guys have you ever heard of Jason Ingram? Jason Ingram, he's a songwriter. And I was listening to some of his story yesterday. He's a songwriter. And I'm not sure where he started off, but where he was at, nothing was happening in his life, in his profession. So he took his wife, and I believe she was pregnant at the time, and they moved to Nashville, because that's where you go if you're a songwriter and musician. You go to Nashville, right? So he up and moved and went to Nashville. And the first year he got signed with the company, he wrote 150 songs. Not one of them got recorded. Not one song his first year. None of them got recorded. So year 2, He wrote 150 more songs. One of them got recorded, and it was called the Secret Side. It's like a B-side. Like if you remember back in the day, they had B-sides of an album or a record. It was a secret side, and what it meant was after the CD was over, because it was back with CDs, after the CD was over, and if you waited 2 or 3 minutes and then a song would come on, but nobody ever really knew because you thought that the CD was over, that's where his song was. It was like there, where nobody ever heard it. And then if you don't know who he is, so the third year, his songs started getting recorded, and he ended up working with somebody called Warren Daigle. He wrote a song, You Say. Yeah. He's written a bunch of other songs since then, but he actually now works with Elevation Worship. And he wrote that song, You Take What the Enemy Meant for Evil, and God will turn, yeah, see, you're humming, you already know, right? Like all that time, what if he gave up?
Right.
You know what I mean? That's just what we said about what Thomas Edison said. What if he would have gave up, like year 2? It's not meant to be, it's not working out. He did not give up. Do you mean he persevered? He kept at it. He knew that he had something in him that God had given him, and he was not willing to give up. So, I'm coming, Susan. Give thanks. Listen, this is really important. I'm going to go through it quickly though, but giving thanks, because you know what's going to happen when God's working on your heart, you're trying to sing your way through, you're in the waiting. You know what's going to happen? You're going to get mad and upset and resentful and bitter and mad at whoever's around you. You need to be giving thanks. Do you know what I mean? So that doesn't start to sink in. So stay grateful, stay thankful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Listen, I did home health care for 5 years. What that means is I took care of adult people who couldn't take care of themselves and all that entails. Okay? So that's what I did for 5 years. We have people now who are like, I ain't working for that. I ain't doing that. I'm worth more than that. You know, and all that might be true. But here's how I think. Listen, I'll work so hard, you'll make me the executive director of your company. Mm-hmm. I don't care if I start in the mailroom. I don't care if I start cleaning your toilets. Amen. Listen, I know who I am. I know who my God is, and I know where I'm going to go. So I don't care where I got to start. The thing is, start somewhere. You got to start, then work your way up. And while you're doing it, be thankful. Do you know what I mean? It will keep your heart happy. Because if you get disgruntled, you're going to leave. Like, especially if it's like an employer or a job and you're waiting for a promotion. Do you know what I mean? And you're going to get mad and you're going to be upset with your coworkers and your boss and the people around you. And now you're unhappy and you leave. And you could miss what God had for you. Do you know what I mean? So don't miss. So stay thankful. And then, of course, just do the next right thing. Do the next right thing. Do the next right thing. He is the God of victory. So whatever's in front of you, whatever is next, just do the next right thing. Sometimes I ask people, they'll tell me their dream and their vision. They want to be the worship leader. I'm like, okay, I want you to clean the church. I ain't going to clean the church. Didn't you hear what I just said? Yeah, well, right now, what I need is I need somebody to clean the church. You know, God will open the door for you. Just get in the door, like what I just said. God will open the door for you. We've had people who said they wanted to pastor this church. I want to pastor this church. Or I want to be a pastor. Okay, let's start with youth. What? Well, I don't want to. Yeah, I'm not called to do youth. I'm called to pastor. Well, let's do the next right thing. We're going to start you with youth and see how you do. You know what I mean? It's very similar. Just get in there, get started, do the next right thing. Don't get ahead of yourself. Do you know what I mean? Let God take you where he wants to take you. If God opens the door, listen, nobody can close it.
That's right.
Okay? If God opens the door for you, nobody can close it. Okay. He's the God of victory. So I just want you to remember, he is the God of victory. He has you. Listen, he will equip you. He is the Lion of Judah. You have more than you think you do, okay? You can do one more day. You can do one more day. Do you know what I mean? Even when everything in you is screaming to run, Don't run.
Don't run.
Don't run.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. Don't do it. God has something really good for you. I always think about, like God has like all these wonderful plans and gifts for you. Do you know what I mean? And we'll give up right before we walk into them. So don't give up right before you walk into what God has for you. I was thinking about even like Desiree's dad had came here for a little bit, for about a minute. Listen, he's a talented man. Okay, he's one of the best drummers I've ever met in my life, that I've ever seen. And I've seen a lot of performers and drummers. If he would have just stayed here, who knows? Who knows where he could have went, But he ran. And so I feel like that's with us. So don't run. God has this great gift ahead for you. So I don't want you to give up. I want you to hold on. I might have a little closing verse. Let's see. Now to him who is able to do immeasurably more than all we can ask or imagine, according to the power that is at work within us. He's a great big God. Listen, he's going to do more than you can ask or imagine. More than you can ask or imagine. I wanted help with my rent. He gave me a home. More than you could ask or imagine. I wanted to work here. He made me pastor. Listen, that's way more than I would have imagined. Okay, that's way beyond the scope of what I was thinking about. But God will do way more than you can ask or imagine. So don't give up. Okay, don't give up. And somebody who doesn't give up is Miss Susan Lee. So she's going to come up and tell us how Vacation Bible School went. Listen, she's always wanted to work with kids. We've had challenges here with kids. Last year with Vacation Bible School, we had about 7 kids. But listen, she didn't give up. I don't know if you guys saw, I'm going to show the pictures next week of the room. There's our little team back there. That they did so fabulous. And this year, it was like packed down there. We needed more staff. So anyway, and this is Susan. So she's going to talk about it.
Hi, everybody. Like she said, my name is Susan Lee. I'm the children's ministry leader downstairs. And anywhere I take the kids, I'm still their children's ministry leader. So,
is it your birthday?
It's my birthday.
Holler.
I'm 48 because I don't care what age I am. I'm still 29 in my heart. I woke up this morning and I felt awful, you guys. I'm aching from my head to my toes, and it's been going on. Okay, so I'm not contagious. Please don't get scared. I felt a little bit worse today than normal, but it's okay. Because sometimes I think, going off of that, hold that thought for a minute, sometimes I think that I learn more or as much from your children as they do from me. This week, our kids learned about God sightings. God sightings are where you see God in a person, place, thing, situation. Just so you know, you parents out there, your children see God in you. They're thankful for Ben. Did you know that? They're thankful for their dad. They told me that. They told us that. I had helpers, people who helped. They were thankful that they were able to help me. We had all, and they weren't real good about writing them down, but they were good about telling us in the group about the God sightings, which really touched my heart. Because one little girl said she was grateful for me, and I just wanted to run up and hug her. Your kids this week also learned how to shine God's light in situations. They learned when and how. They learn to shine God's light when people are sad, when people are mean and angry, when good things happen, when bad things happen, when you're in the dark and you don't know what is going to happen. So going back to, I woke up this morning feeling like crap. An angel reminded me today about God sightings this morning upstairs. I won't tell what God sighting she had, but I had a God sighting. She reminded me that God is in what I did, and I needed to share how enormous that was with you. Okay? No matter how I feel. And I want to tell you something else. the more I was downstairs, I don't know if it was me interceding for myself or if people were interceding for me, but I have begun to feel better and better and better. Right. That's a God sighting. So that's what I'm doing today. I'm shining Jesus' light in spite of the way I feel. You see, I was really worried, and so was some other people, that we would only have a very few people, as Reba said, come downstairs. We did some marketing, we had some signs, we posted on Facebook, but I didn't really go out in the neighborhood. Last year we had, I think on our peak day, we maybe had 10. On the second day, I think we had 5. And on the third day, maybe we had 7, which was this last year's. This year, you guys, we had 19 the first night, 20 the second night, and on Friday, we had 22.
Do what?
22 lives touched by God. And I couldn't have done it by myself. I want to introduce my team, if I could do that with you guys. I'd like to introduce, and they're all trying to hide from me, Mary Kirkpatrick, since she's the one standing here. Come on up here, Mary. Let everybody see who you are. A lot of you guys know who she is. Some of you don't. But she ran the Bible Adventures. And when you looked in the room, it kind of looked almost like a haunted house, except it was all biblical stuff, but the lights were dim. And it really took the kids into the story. They were like a hands-on with all their senses. It was really cool. And if you guys don't know this, Mary Kirkpatrick and Ed Kirkpatrick, along with Michael Maley, trained me to be the teacher I am today. They trained me. And then there's Ed Kirkpatrick. Ed Kirkpatrick. If you don't know about Ed, let me tell you. He is the most creative, inventive person I have ever met in my whole life. That man can take something that's just nothing and turn it into a gizmo gadget that lights up the world. And every kid that ran into that room each and every day ran right straight to his stuff because it was moving and lighting up. And he brought something to the table that I just don't have to bring. And definitely not last, because she is my right-hand girl, Elaine Bayless. Elaine, she got to run the Imagination Station. She was making the kids do crazy fun things with milk and food coloring and making swirls like Ringo's ring around him. She also did stargazers, which you put a flashlight and the stars went on the ceiling. The kids just love that stuff. I absolutely could not do this without you guys. So I'd like you all to give a round of applause for a phenomenal team. Oh my goodness. You guys are going to make me cry.
Give them to Susie.
Thank you, David. Do you guys want to say anything? Thank you.
Happy birthday, Susie.
Thank you.
We really, really appreciate Susan. I mean, she's there week after week after week, year after year. She's done a phenomenal job with the kids. I mean, she's who it is. I mean.
Thank you. All right, guys, with that, do you want me to dismiss him or give it back to you? Oh, with that, I'm going to turn it over to worship.
And we made you a slide. Happy birthday, Susan. We just wanted to say happy birthday to you publicly because we so appreciate you and all that you do for our community and for our kids. And we truly believe that's where it starts, is with the children. We have to change things in them for when they get older. So thank you for just loving our children and being God for them. It really means a lot to us, especially me. With Carter, he can be a handful, and she just loves him to death no matter what he does down there. So we love you so much. Thank you.
Let's all stand together and close. How about we do that? It's something new. All right. We're going to do Grace into Gardens, the part where we clap. Who's ready? You turn mourning to dancing. You give beauty for ashes. You turn shame into glory. You're the only one who can. You turn mourning. You turn mourning to dancing. You give beauty for ashes. You turn shame into glory. You're the only one who can. You turn graves into gardens. You turn bones into armies. You turn seas into highways. You're the only one who can. You turn graves into gardens. You turn bones into armies. You turn seas into highways. You're the only one who can. You're the only one who can. You're the only one who can. Yes, you are, Jesus. We love you. We thank you. Thank you for being here this morning. Don't give up.